peace agreement. How long will it take for them to hammer out the framework agreement concerning the 6 or 8 core issues? We will discuss these core issues and their probable solutions today on Politics and Religion.
Look, there are 2 things I don't discuss: politics and religion.
In my house, we don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion.
I'll talk to you about anything except politics and religion.
I never talk about politics and religion.
Politics determines how we'll live here on earth. Religion determines how we'll live forever. I'm Irvin Baxter. I think it's time we talk about it.
You know, when you're living right in the middle of one of the greatest prophetic fulfillments of all times, if you're not careful, you can sort of go to sleep at the wheel. But that's actually what's happening to us right now. You and I are living in the middle of not one, but 2 major prophetic fulfillments, such as the world may not see in 2,000 years. I mean, 2 huge prophecies almost marching in lockstep. That's where we are right now. And I know we've talked about these 2 prophecies a lot, but why shouldn't we? I mean, after all, if you lived in the time of Jesus Christ, and if you actually knew about the prophecy that the Messiah was to be born in Bethlehem, and then you hear that there was a child born in Bethlehem last night, and then you go talk to the shepherds that had angels appear to them, telling them that unto them that day was born in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this will be a sign: you will find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And then the shepherds tell you, we left our sheep with a keeper, and we went to look, and we found him, just like the angels said, wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And you listen at the animation in these shepherds' voices, the sincerity that resonated. You see all those things happening. And when you're in that particular situation, you have to stop and say, wait a minute. This is absolutely incredible. This is amazing. Well, that's the kind of a situation we find. I mean, would you talk about it if you were on the air in Israel 2,000 years ago? How often would you be talking about this baby that was to be born? How often would you talk about the fact that he was from the tribe of Judah, yet born in Bethlehem, and that his mother claims that she was a virgin, and that the angels came, and that the wise men came from the east and claimed they followed a star, and on and on? And then how much would you talk about them taking Jesus to the temple, and there stood Simeon, a man who claimed the Holy Ghost had shown him he would not die until he saw the Messiah, and he knew it was him when he walked in the door? Well, it would be exhilarating, but no more exhilarating than right now, because the same disbelief that would enable us to shrug this off now would have enabled them to shrug that off then. I mean, it all comes down to, do you really give this serious consideration? Do you realize that these truly are prophetic times, that they're times like no other times? You've simply got to think about these things. Okay. Well, that's where we are today, and starting 1 week from today, there is going to be talks beginning between Benjamin Netanyahu and Mahmoud Abbas. They're going to be meeting face-to-face somewhere around Jerusalem. They haven't announced the location yet, but they've already agreed they will meet like this every 2 weeks, and they're there to discuss the core issues. Now, here's the plan, and actually this came, I think, from Prime Minister Netanyahu. They're going to be discussing the core issues. They're going to be talking about the main things that will cause people, well, let me say it this way. I actually have the core issues listed here in front of me. The core issues that Netanyahu and Abbas say, we're going to discuss these things, because if we can settle the framework, it's easy. Once you get the foundation in, you get the frame of the house up, it's easy to put the roof on, to put the drywall on, to wire the thing. We can leave that to others. But we're the ones that have to build the structure that everything else has to fit to, because we're the leaders. I mean, we're talking about a boss, we're talking about Netanyahu. So these are the core issues as they have been described by all the parties, by Israel, by the Palestinians. They include, one, borders, the borders between the proposed Palestinian state and the borders of Israel. And then the second thing will be the status of the refugees. What about all of the Palestinians that have left their homes since before 1947? They've moved other places. All of them say now, we want to go back to Tel Aviv. We want to go back to Haifa. We want to reclaim the houses of our fathers that were lost during wartime. And if we can't go back, well, that's another story. That's part of the negotiation. It's been discussed that they will not be allowed to go back, but that they will be paid reparations, probably funded by the world community. That means the United States. But it's a small price to pay for peace, most of them would say. Well, in addition to that, beside the status of the refugees, what do you do with them? Because that's been a huge kicking point up to now. All of them must be able to go back. Well, if they're able to go back, the nation of Israel's dead, because they would be too weakened. We'll talk about that more in a few minutes. But in addition to that, what about the settlements? What about the Jewish settlers that have moved out into Judea, Samaria since 1967? There's about 250,000 of those. What do we do with them? And what about Israel's security? I mean, if the Palestinians are allowed to live right up next to Israel, we're talking about Jerusalem being divided possibly. So all you need is a few hundred feet and you can bomb Israeli residences. What about the airport at Tel Aviv? How do you protect against that? Israel's got the rockets that can try to pick Israeli planes out of the sky. What kind of a security nightmare would that be? So security is important. And then something that's not talked about a lot, but it may be one of the biggest things of all, and that's water. Because many times we talk about how precious oil is, but when you talk about water, water is the life substance of the Middle East. They have a scarcity of water. So the Palestinians are always reaching for it. The Jordanians are always reaching for it. The Syrians are always reaching for it. And, of course, the Israelis. How do you solve the water problem? And then finally, the status of the city of Jerusalem. That city that God said is the center of the earth, the place where he would call his name. All of these are issues that are on the table. Now, what I'd like to do today, I would like to ask you what the solution will be. Now, they're going to get an agreement, whether now or later. They're going to get an agreement. So what will the solution be? And I'd like for us to be prepared to give the scriptures that tell us these things. So it's going to be an interesting program today. I invite your participation. If you want to be on air with us, give us a call right now, 877-END-TIME. Let me also take just a moment before we do go to the phones to remind you that the very latest edition of Endtime Magazine has arrived. It's a fabulous edition. If you haven't got your copy yet, pick up the phone, give us a call right now, 1-800-END-TIME. Islam in the Bible. This is probably the greatest prophetic discovery that I have personally made in the last 10 years. About a year or two ago, I discovered Islam in the Bible. I'm telling you, absolute proof. It will blow your hat in the creek. It is amazing that Islam's right there in the Bible, and we have overlooked it until now, but you'll understand it. If after reading the article you're not satisfied and you want your money back on your subscription, just give us a call. We'll refund it, no questions asked. Anyway, I really encourage you to do that. And then Linda Sargent's marvelous article, The Growing Influence of Islam. Linda is an attorney, and she just poured herself into this article. I'm hearing comment after comment after comment. It's a great article. U.S. Senator James Inhofe writing about global warming You need to hear what he has to say because he was the chairman of the Public Works and Environment Committee in the U.S. Senate for 5 years. He heard all of the top testimony from around the world, and you need to hear his opinion about global warming and what that's all about. One other thing, we will be going to Israel April 26th through May the 7th. We're going to Israel and Berlin. Berlin is the capital of Germany, and Germany is the heart of Europe, and the Holy Roman Empire is going to end up being the dominant force in the New World Order, the world government of the Antichrist. And so it's going to be a fabulous tour. You will see the parts of the Berlin Wall that are left and many other things, plus Israel walk in the footsteps of Jesus and in the footsteps of prophecy. I can't even tell you. It's a marvelous trip. If you're interested, give us a call, 1-800-ENDTIME. Ask to speak to someone about the tour. They'll tell you all about it. Let's get to the phones now. And let's go right now to the Internet. Hello, Carlene. Welcome to Politics and Religion.
Hello.
Hi, Carlene.
Hi, Irvin Baxter. How are you?
Good. What do you got on your mind?
Okay, I want to say a couple months ago, I went to a store, and I made a purchase, and the gentleman asked me for my telephone number so he could put the item on warranty. I gave him my telephone number, and he was able to tell me my name and my address. I said, how did you do that? He said, well, he must have been here before. I said, no, I've never been to he says, maybe another branch. I said, I've never been to any of your stores. I know that. He said, maybe somebody came in, used it. I said, no, nobody did. So that had my antennas raised. I said, something isn't right. So anyways, yesterday, I went to this website, and lo and behold, I put my name in, and it could give me my address, my telephone number. It lists my ethnicity. It lists my age, in what age range. It lists how many people live in my house, where it was built, hobbies. You know, they don't really get it right. They have zodiac sign, and they had a satellite view of where I live. It's like, wow. So I'm like, okay. So I started searching other names, family and friends. I searched for my uncle's name. I saw a street picture, not a satellite picture, of his house with his car parked there, his neighbors, and that was like, even who he lived with, his telephone number, how many bedrooms he has, how many bathrooms he has, the square footage of the lot, the square footage of his house. I said, this is ridiculous. Then there's this little compass thing to the left of the picture, and I could zoom, I could pan around. I look around the community, his street. I was looking at his neighbors. I'm like, this is weird. This is crazy. And then I have this, imagination, and I'm thinking, I'm like, what the heck? People can actually put things together, and when this gets into the wrong hand, it's going to be really, really terrible, Irvin, I'm telling you.
So you're thinking...
Do it. You can look for your own. Put in your name. I'm going to give you the website if you want me to. You don't have to pay anything.
I'll tell you what we can do. We can give that website, as soon as I let you go, our call screener will take that for us, and they'll take that down. But, by the way, was your Social Security number there?
No, my Social Security number wasn't there. I didn't see any spot for that.
See, most of the things you're talking about are probably a combination of the census you filled out.
Mm-hmm.
And
I never filled out a census.
Well, anyway, Google, they're the ones that put the street view of your house on there. We obviously live in glass houses right now. Carly, we're up against a break, but I thank you very much for your call. We need to know this is happening right now because it is the end time.
Every Monday at 9 p.m. Central on the Church Channel and every Friday at 9:30 p.m. Central on Daystar, Irvin Baxter presents End of the Age. End of the Age is a 30-minute program which gives intricate details about how Bible prophecy is not only true, but also how it lines up so perfectly with events happening in the world right now. Don't miss one End of the Age program every Monday at 9 p.m. Central on the Church Channel and every Friday at 9:30 p.m. Central on Daystar. Visit endtime.com for more details or call 1-800-ENDTIME.
I felt a call at an early age to win the lost, to do God's will in my life.
I feel like nowadays